I'm Dan Drake. This is Visitor Network TV and Channel 99. Our guest today is RobRanney. Rob wears several hats. We'll talk about the Steamship Authority in a few minutes, especially in cold weather.
Yes.
But what I've asked him to talk about today is the sort of the health of the retail real estate market, particularly in downtown Nantucket. The last few years, there have been a number of vacancies, a lot of turnover.
Yep.
And I'm not sure what the situation is this winter because I haven't gone around and counted the empty storefronts the way I've done in the past. But what is the situation?
It hasn't changed a lot this year. There are a lot of vacancies, a lot of renovations, reconstructions of things like Captain Toby's and the Nesbitt Inn is another one. Right. Things around town that have yet to play out. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with those. But as far as shops and retail spaces, it's the same old story. Rents are very high, and it's difficult to get a long-term commitment from any type of retail organization to be able to make it, because you have really 2 months of the year to make all your money, and that's it.
Is there a story behind the Shreve, Crump and Lowe closing?
Not that I'm aware of. A lot of these things sort of happen in the shadows, and it's all word of mouth. So there's some rumors out there, but
NIR, which owns the building, does their own retail rent.
They do their own thing, and they don't like to talk about it. So usually, by the time people find out, it's the store's already opening up, and there it is. So they don't like to talk about their stuff.
But you were mentioning a moment ago about the rents and the fact that people have to make a lot of money to cover those rents.
That's right.
What is the average size of a retail space on Main Street, for example?
It's smaller than you think. It's probably, square foot wise, it's they're all sort of a little quirky, but 500 to 1,000 square feet is.
So if you had let's say a 500 square foot space on Main Street and we're paying market rent, what would you be paying?
Nobody likes to talk about those numbers. It's quite high, and it's somewhere on the order of maybe $100,000 a year, which is a lot of money to make in just 2 months or 2.5 months. So it's a tough thing.
I guess if you own your building, it's easier, but then you have that nut. I mean, how does that compare again for that building on the corner of Main and Federal?
Yep.
Is now for sale again.
Yeah.
Is it not?
I believe so, yes.
And for something like $4.5 million.
Actually, no, you might be thinking of Murray's Liquor Store. That's on the market.
I thought the one on the corner where Tompkins used to be.
Yep.
Is that not on the market now?
I don't believe so. I know that they've divided the space inside. When it used to be the jewelry store, it was a big open shop, and now they've cut it up into smaller spaces to make it easier for theoretically.
Well, this isn't the jewelry store. This was the one that was Tompkins, and then the Morey's, Nantucket brand, Morey's.
Right.
And they sold it again, I believe.
Yep. Yep.
And
but again, it's just an example of the high turnover, the fact that you have to have something that is going to appeal to the visitors that come in, who are going to go through your store and make it worth your while in just a couple of months. And to repeat that year after year is very difficult.
How does it compare with, I don't know if you have any knowledge, Edgartown or Newburyport, for example,
it's similar.
It's
similar.
Yeah. What about a place like Bermuda? Do you have any knowledge of that?
I don't. My suspicion is that most of those are probably owned by individuals or families, not big corporations like NAR.
There's been a big change in the nature of the retail business in Bermuda, but I think it's a change in the nature of the visitor, probably.
That's right. Well, it's sort of similar to what we saw here when shops that were traditionally, they became T-shirt shops, and sort of started the ball rolling. Where you could make a lot of money selling T-shirts, and boom, it didn't matter what you were selling as long as you could just do it, and
had high turnover and
good
margins.
That's right.
What do you think the future is going to hold in terms of the downtown?
And as far as that sort of market, it's probably going to continue the way it has been. I think 2014 is going to be overall probably a stronger year than we saw in 2013. And that's probably going to continue, especially with residential sales and things of that nature. we've since the Great Depression of 08, 09, we've sort of seen a step up, step down, step up thing where 2013 was actually a little bit less than 2012, which indicates the trend is sort of still going up. So 2014 I think will be stronger, and people are feeling a little bit better about the economy. They're more relaxed about spending money.
It's interesting. I was looking at the airport fuel sales last year.
Yeah.
And this year to date, and on a comparable basis, of the 3 years, 2012 was the best. Last year was not great.
Right.
Up to this point.
It's similar with the real estate.
And now we're back up to 2006,
right.
2012 levels.
Yeah.
I don't think we're back to 2006 levels yet.
No, but if you sort of draw a line on the graph, you can see sort of a steady progression. But yeah, you're right.
But how does that translate into the retail market? Because at some point, these people have to depend on visitors.
That's
rather than even summer residents and summer residents.
That's right, and that's why. Well, downtown is still a ghost town in the wintertime for the most part. Right. There are a lot of shops that are just closed because it doesn't make any sense to stay open.
But what about the trend in the visitors? There are fewer beds for people to sleep in,
right.
Transient beds.
Right.
They're becoming more expensive.
That's right.
Will that have an impact on the retail?
Probably. We still see a lot of day trippers, which keeps some of these places going. You step off the boat and you're here for a few hours, and you walk up Main Street and back down to the boat, and you spend your money and you're gone. So.
Is it so? But your overall view is that it's going to sort of stay on course for a while.
I think it will. Yeah.
Barring some.
That's right. Barring
some unforeseen calamity.
That's right. I think the Remain people have been very good about making sure that it's not one entity that owns most of downtown. It's sort of, and that's been helpful. And I think if that continues, then we sort of spread it out a little bit, and you don't have one landlord who controls everything, which is good.
But there is a block of property that's been controlled by one person since almost 50 years now.
That's right.
But
it's
different people along the way.
That's right.
One person who controls those properties.
That's right. And as things change, I think I think we'll just sort of continue on the way we have been. Like you said, barring anything drastic, I think that's the way we're going.
What about the restaurant scene? Do you think you're over?
You're really putting me on the spot today.
I am. It's good, but we're just talking about opinions.
That's right. That's right.
I'm just curious. It seems like there are an awful lot of restaurants.
There are in the summer.
Yeah.
Obviously, in the winter, they're not.
Right. But the population is a lot smaller in the winter too.
Well, that's true. But it comes down to, how many can you have open at one time? Right. How many people are going out to eat every night? So. In the summer, obviously, there's a lot. Even though the Stop and Shop is full every day with people buying groceries, they're still going out to eat.
Right.
So it's market driven.
And again, those are people generally who aren't the day trippers, of course, because they don't stay for dinner.
That's right. Although they can take the steamship late boat back.
That's right. Well, that's true. Or the other guys.
That's right. Well, sure, absolutely. We're all in it together.
That's right. But. It's interesting because you've certainly seen it over the many years that you've been here and been in the real estate business in terms of the changes.
Yeah, but again, it comes down to how many hardware stores can you have? I mean, the how many other types of there's a limit on how many t-shirt shops you can have, or how many whatever, and that sort of drives it too.
What about the market out of town in Mid Island and so forth? Is that?
It used to be that was the affordable place to go. If you couldn't be downtown, you sort of move outwards, and you were able to establish your business there, and that's still sort of the case, although it's become very crowded.
Right.
The sort of Mid-Island of 20 years ago has now been pushed out towards the airport even. So but again, there's a certain level of commercial space that is gonna you're gonna level off because there's no more demand for it. You just can't support yourself.
Well, we'll see where it goes.
We're sort of a finite,
finite both in terms of space and in terms of
absolutely.
Need.
That's right. That's right.
Demand.
That's right. We have a captive audience, but you're not going to buy a hammer every day for
That's right.
So.
But we've got the talk of a lot of new space coming online.
That's true. Which is going to be interesting to see. I mean, are more businesses going to move out to the sort of affordable outlying areas, or which are easier to get to, especially when the traffic is bad?
Depends on where you live.
Well, that's true.
For some of us, it's not.
So yeah, no, we're going through into an interesting time where it's going to be very interesting to see what happens.